Catholic. We got Van the Man. We've got Seth, who thinks he's a philosopher, but I think he likes to stir the Kool-Aid. What's up?
Howdy.
Hey.
This is actually quite a mixed group of people.
It's kind of scary.
I know. I got a Calvinist, I got a Catholic, got an atheist. I guess Seth's an atheist or agnostic. I'm not sure.
Then there's Gus.
Yeah, I'm a positive atheist.
He's cool.
Positive, like A plus,
No, not A plus.
like Steve Shives.
He makes the positive claim.
Yeah, I think there's good reasons to think God doesn't exist.
Oh, so you would agree that it's a positive claim?
Yes.
Do you think it's harder to defend that as, and people go because it's a negative claim, they don't have to go on the defense?
I think they do have to go on the defense. They go on the defense all the time, and theists, present an argument for the existence of God. They must defend their position, which is that those arguments don't follow. I just think that there's more of a there's more of a positive atheists obviously have a little bit more to defend, right? They have positive arguments that they have to that they defend.
Got it. It's interesting because the lacktheism thing, to me, I don't know. It always seems like it's a lot easier to attack than to defend in arguments. I don't care what it is. You could be, are marshmallows healthy or not? And I always feel like the attacking position is almost easier.
Maybe. I mean, I don't find it very difficult to defend positive atheism. I think that one should have a position and defend it.
I actually look for me, it's reason to believe a proposition. And I actually get accused of being in the lacktheist camp on occasion, but I wouldn't say that. It wouldn't describe me. Y'all have known me for quite some time. Y'all know how I feel. I'm a pretty positive claim guy on that, but I'm not making absolute universal claim that there is no God. I'm making the claim that I'm perfectly rational to believe that there isn't, given the amount of, or given these reasons, or X reasons.
You're interesting because you aren't really involved in atheist activism, and you're married to somebody who isn't an atheist, which is quite interesting to me. So, what is it that you think makes it so important to be part of it? I mean, obviously you're drawn to this for some reason, just like all of us are.
Well, I'm actually less drawn to the atheism versus Christian or any theism. I'm more drawn to the bad arguments, the bad science, and the assholery. You'll notice that I go after people who I tend to think are jerks. And it seems like a lot of people. Yeah. Seems like
oh geez, that's all of us.
Well, Lord knows I'm accused of being a jerk on occasion, but it's the type of jerk. People that are going after people that are either defenseless or bullies, don't like those. And I see a lot of people on the radical evangelical side that fit that category. So I end up going there. I end up going after pseudoscience a lot, young earth creationism. And it's really more that I'm going
Roy
against
Montero.
as opposed. Well, he's just nuts.
Yeah, but a lot of people have some sort of like reasoning of why it bugs them, like or why, like I mean, if you were to think like why am I interested in engaging with atheists and stuff? Well, I have a brother that is one, and um, that might be possibly one of the things. And I've never not believed in a God. Like I can never think about a time where that's been the case. So like it's such a weird, you know, idea to me that it's interesting, and it's weird because I don't feel threatened by atheists or anything like that. So it's not about that. It's more like it's just it's such a weird end of the spectrum that I don't quite get. That it's always been kind of interesting to talk, and I don't know when I hear the moral arguments that like people like Beckel make, you know, about like you know uh, objective morality and stuff like that. That's how I used to view it. I view it a little differently now, but I used to view it very black and white some years ago.
It's actually, kind of interesting. I'm not against the idea of objective morality. I've just never heard a really reasonable explanation for it. If there is some sort of objective morality, I don't think anyone has put forth an argument to lead me to believe that it's actually a thing.
What about it? What about the argument? You know, the objective is to flourish. What about that?
Well, you're setting an objective, which is subjective.
What if there's an objective that is inescapable in all possible worlds?
Such as?
What I find to be inescapable in all possible worlds is that free beings value their freedom, right? It's tautologous, right? You can't not value your freedom.
I disagree.
Okay, well, I don't see how. Right? You can say you don't value freedom, but what you mean is you don't value other people's freedom. When you say you don't value freedom, like, for example, you would like to be flogged, you're valuing your freedom to want to be flogged. There's no real escape from that.
You actually made a good point there about you value your freedom, but you don't value others' freedom, and that's the part I was going to point out. So yes, you're right.
Right. I think it's inescapable. I think in all possible worlds, free beings value their own freedom. Whether they a lot, like I said, they're a masochist, so claim they don't value their freedom, but in doing so, they're wanting their freedom to be flogged, for example, right? I don't think there's an escape from that, and then you can derive moral values from that, right? One's, for example, I think that to ensure your own freedom. When you are in a society with other people, you should respect other people's freedoms. That leads to your greater freedom for yourself.
Isn't that basically
the moral framework?
Rule?
I'm sorry?
Isn't that basically the platinum rule?
Yeah, I think it is.
Treat others as they wish to be treated.
That's why I think that this is that's why I think that this is that I'm really onto something, because one of the things that people look for in moral theories is that they meet up with our intuitions, right? Well, I have a basis that seems to be not intuitive, but it immediately leads to just about the first rule in every other moral theory, and I think that's really telling.
Interesting. I'll think about that one. That might be the first time I've ever heard. Well, you know what? I don't think there's anything inconsistent or contradictory to say that someone who has freedom doesn't value it. I don't think there's a contradiction there. It does seem intuitive that people who have freedom would value their freedom.
Well, what does that
I don't-
look like? For I mean, right? For I mean, the immediate example that comes to mind for me, for somebody who doesn't value their own freedom, is like somebody who wants to be, whipped and tied up. Well, that person values they want to be done what they want to be done to them. That's what I mean by value their freedom.
Yeah.
People can't escape wanting to be done what they want to be done, and that is,
Well,
in a
I don't
sense,
think
valuing their own freedom.
there's a contradiction in someone who just doesn't care.
See, I think that sometimes it's more moral to not let people do what they want to do. There's a boundary somewhere you have to set.
Yeah,
I would agree.
It's not about letting people do whatever they want to do. That there are freedoms that we limit for greater freedom. For example, one of the old canards about human flourishing, right? That Christians will bring up sometimes. Well, at least in my argument with Christians, it gets brought up sometimes. I think Matt Bell likes to bring this up, right? Okay, what if you're unconscious in a hospital and somebody has sex with your unconscious body? Well, there's no harm done. Then somebody else enjoys it, and you don't, and nothing bad happens to you. So obviously, in that case, if there's no harm done, then that's moral. Well, under my moral framework, that's not moral because there's a greater freedom that's being limited. People don't want to go to the hospital if they can't be assured that their body won't be molested while they're out. Right? It leads to a decrease in overall freedom, right? I don't have the freedom to go to the hospital and with any kind of assurance that my body won't be molested.
You just described the reason I don't go to the dentist.
Right. Exactly. So you don't want to go to the dentist because you think that that's something that can happen to you because there are stories about that happening. So it's an overall limit it's a limit in overall freedom, right? If you could be assured that that wouldn't happen to you, there's a small decrease in freedom for the dentist because, right, he doesn't get to molest you. But there's a greater overall freedom that people get to go to the dentist while being assured that they won't be molested.
I actually had a conversation with one of the radical evangelicals, and he says, well, explain morality. I'm like, well, it's not a short conversation. It's not a simple answer. There's many things that factor into it, especially from my moral system. There are many things that factor into it, not just here it is, boom, one sentence. I think you're talking about a 2-hour conversation there. And he didn't want to accept that. He wanted, he wanted a soundbite answer.
It's a lot easier than knock down soundbite answers. Yeah. I don't know. Explain morality is sort of a very long way to go about things.
That's actually, Seth, you've actually given me some stuff to think about on that one. I'll have to think about that one. That one sounds, at its face, sounds pretty good.
No, yeah, it's controversial. I've brought it up a few times, and I've had people fight with me on it, but I'm not. I haven't heard anything that is seemingly. I mean, the biggest problem I think it has is the fact that there doesn't seem to be a way to quantify limiting freedoms for what I feel are overall greater freedoms, right? So, like, for example, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when valuing freedom above everything else is, well, people might have the freedom to, talk loudly and throw spitballs and act obnoxious, right? Well, that is a freedom that we should value, except for when it interferes with other people's freedoms. And I would say it's a greater freedom to walk around the world without fear of being molested or having your wallet stolen or having a spitball thrown in the back of your head. But there's not a really good way to quantify that. You'd have to just assume that it seems intuitive that it's a greater freedom to be able to walk around the world without fear of a spitball hitting the back of your head. I mean, it seems like
that seems to run into your rights and where my rights begin.
Right, but I mean, it's really hard to quantify, and I think that's the biggest problem it has.
I'll have to think about that one. That's interesting. Let's see. So who all we got here? Let's see. Jim W. John Wilkinson. I don't know if I know you, John.
I don't know you either.
Hi, I'm Van.
Hi, I'm John.
Cool.
John is part of the mafia.
Come
He's pretty chill.
Oh, the Calvinist Mafia. Okay.
Yes.
He's never beaten me with anything.
Yeah.
He hasn't. I will beat the raw bell out of you.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
No,
Let's see.
I'm one of the tame ones to deal with when it comes to the mafia. I'm just.
I gotta say I enjoy your avatar. Go 40K.
Yeah. I kind of lifted that from Google, but then I added my own little twist to it by the order of the Council of Google Plus. But yeah, I try to spend a little time having fun. Actually, I just created an image tonight just for the fun of it. Yeah, it's right here. Just that had some fun with that. Culto Slick. Yeah, I was watching his live radio show, and he was accused of, being a cult member or something like that, or cult leader. And so I named it the Culto Slick, and he got such a big kick out of that. It's like, yeah. So I just created this little image. It just had an image of him, and then I just colorized a few little things and added that on there. I'm bored.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's a cult leader. Like, cult leaders are far more charismatic. What? Both in the religious.
Talk about having an apropos name, though.
Oh, Slick. Yeah.
Slick, I know. Yeah. Yeah. He always cracks a joke saying that he goes by the name of Reverend Slick. It's like you have to trust a guy named Reverend Slick.
That really only works though if he's wearing a 3-piece suit, a 10-gallon hat.
Yeah, or a car salesman. Yeah.
So tell him to update his wardrobe.
Okay, I don't think he will, but yeah.
I think that'd be kind of badass though if he showed up on cam looking like that, and he adopted a bit of a Texas twang.
Yeah, we could pick that out.
We don't
Brand himself.
We don't want a Texas Slick. We can stop.
We've got enough of the radical evangelicals down here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome for the nightmares.
You keep throwing out that phrase of radical evangelicals. I mean, what's your guys' definition of one?
Okay, I can easier put forth an example. G-Man.
He's kind of on the mild side of radical, though, wouldn't you think?
I don't know about that.
Betsy DeVos.
Well,
yes.
When I think of like the radical ones, I mean, I think of like that one church,
Westboro
Baptist, exactly, yeah. And then I got Steven Anderson. You got the whack jobs that are just screaming and yelling, telling people that they can't wear colored underwear.
Yeah, but actually, Westboro is not as radical as a lot of people let on. They're really not, and I don't mean like, they're more biblical. I mean, Westboro doesn't think that Christianity should be taught in schools, for example. Right? They don't think that creationism should be taught in schools. They don't think that the Ten Commandments belong on government property.
Well,
There are evangelicals that believe that all that stuff is the case, and they don't fight for it. If anything, and this is a really controversial statement, but all in all, they've been an overall force for good. Except for the mental anguish they might have caused some people at funerals. They've strengthened free speech rights, and they haven't called for anything really illegal, like I said before, calling for the teaching of creationism in schools.
When you say strengthened free speech rights, what do you mean by that? The same way the Ku Klux Klan strengthens it?
Yes.
Well, I actually wasn't trying to be funny. There's people that are like, I hate the Ku Klux Klan, but I'll defend their right for their crappy, ability to assemble.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, they have every right, to assemble and say what they want to say. I have no problem with that. But I don't know. They just have a label of just being the most crazy, far-fetched, whack jobs Christians out there.
But they aren't. I mean, they're not really whack jobs. I mean, just about every person who's ran the church right now. Before it was Michael Phelps, and now it's Phelps Roper. What's her name? Phelps Roper. Shirley Phelps Roper. Yeah, are dedicated lawyers who know what they're doing. Michael Phelps, for example,
Fred.
Michael Phelps. Yeah, Michael Phelps.
Fred
Michael
Phelps.
Phelps was the Olympic swimmer.
Yeah. Fuck. So Fred Phelps.
Michael Phelps swims and smokes. Fred Phelps hates gays.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Fred Phelps, I mean, was kind of, in a sense, not almost a civil rights leader. He was instrumental in taking down a lot of Jim Crow laws in his state. Maybe not a lot, but some. He fought against some Jim Crow.
Yeah, I did hear about that, which is kind of interesting to me.
I'm not a fan of Westboro, but they've been made out to be a boogeyman that they're not.
Ugh, they're pretty bad. I'm sorry. I mean,
their rhetoric is disgusting.
Yeah.
But they haven't exactly caused a lot of damage.
Well, I don't know if they're dominionists or not. Whoa, a whole bunch of people dumped at once.
Yeah, it must have been a phone issue. Google does
Phone glitch.
Is that still going on?
Yeah, it still does that.
Wow.
Stupid. I don't know why they
Google
can't
really
fix that.
did something that broke their Hangouts. I don't understand.
Now, that problem's been going on for a while. But
there's an awful lot of brilliant people at Google. I'm sure they could figure out how to fix it.
You would think.
Oh, we kicked Jim. He came back.
Dang it, Jim.
I got phone dropped.
Jim just keeps coming back.
Like a bad pet. I always turn up.
Yeah.
It's like Lazarus.
Lazarus.
After today, I do kind of feel like I came back from the dead.
Was it that bad?
It was a long day. My old lady accidentally shot her pick line full of a couple cc's full of air and gave herself the bends.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, so I work nights, and she comes charging downstairs, coughing and gasping for breath, and she's like, I need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, huh? Because I've only been asleep for about 2 hours, and yeah.
Well, that's not good. So do they treat it the same way where they put you in a chamber, or?
No, lucky for her and everybody else, it, it was able to, it passed into her lungs and she just kind of expelled it normally. But there was a minute there where we were kind of really worried about what was going to happen.
Yeah, you
But
got to do the whole thing where you let some of the air out.
Yep. But all's well that ends well. And I'm not here to bore you with the messy details of my life.
Well, it certainly is out of control sounding.
My goodness. I don't even know what the word control means anymore. I do value my freedom, Seth. I just have no idea what it would look like if it came up and slapped me in my face.
No, are you in the reserves?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
What was that?
Thanks for sharing, Ben.
Oh crap! I thought I muted. I'm sorry.
A little congested.
I sneezed. And whenever I sneeze, I'm just gonna start blowing until I blow my nose.
Remember your friend from like 2 years ago? I can't remember if his name was Abel. I want to say his name was Abel, but maybe that's because your name's Seth. I've decided his name's Abel. Remember that guy that said that he believed in the same God that we did, the Abrahamic God, but he decided that he wouldn't be chosen and he was going to hell?
LOL, what?
Did I break up?
No, I heard you just fine. I was just kind of stupefied by what I just heard.
Yeah, there was a guy that believed in the Abrahamic God, but he just knew that he would be going to hell.
I mean, I guess there's something to be said for certainty.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was like, what?
Did he like sell his soul to the devil or something?
No, it was interesting. I just wondered whatever became of him because he was a friend of Seth's that sometimes would get on camera.
I mean, there's ways around that.
There's ways around getting your soul sold to the devil?
Yeah, haven't you ever read Hellblazer?
No, I have not.
It's the comic books upon which Constantine, the movie and TV series, were based.
One of my favorite stories involves him sitting down to drink a beer with the devil.
Yes.
And it's a beer from a special fountain that turns to holy water at midnight. But he neglected to tell the devil this.
Yeah, so his buddy was brewing beer with holy water. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
So he was able to get his buddy out of hell, out of a deal with the devil, because the devil was going to come and claim his soul at midnight. And if he didn't claim it at midnight, he would get scot free. So he had this special fountain that was beer until midnight. And like from midnight to noon, it was holy water, and from noon to midnight, it was beer. And he tells the devil to come on over, and we'll have a drink, and da 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 da. And he's in DC in the Vertigo books. The devil's actually rather personable and mostly polite. And okay, comes over, has a beer. And at midnight, the bell tolls, and it turns to holy water in his stomach, and he gets banished back to hell.
The best part is when when the devil bursts into flames and is going back to hell. Constantine flips him the bird, and he's like, "Up yours, mate."
Yeah. The whole deal with Constantine is he's a rules lawyer. He knows all the rules. He's able to cheat every single one of them.
Yep. Oh, well, my favorite was how he got out of going to hell. with his terminal
Sold
cancer.
his soul to 3 different demons.
Yeah, well, the three demons.
Yeah, the current 3 leaders of hell.
It's like, yeah, well, you guys can't really go to war over my soul because then heaven will show up and win. You guys are in trouble. Better figure something out. Oh, and by the way, slashes his wrist. You're running out of time.
He was
This is
currently
like
dying of lung cancer.
What's that?
Is this what the movie Constantine is based off of?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I've seen that.
Oh, but believe me, the comics upon which it is based are leaps and bounds better.
The TV show was much closer to the feel of the comics.
I really liked the show,
Yeah, I did too.
especially when he started smoking.
He was generally an unlikable. He was what they would call as a magnificent bastard.
Oh,
He
for sure.
was an absolutely unlikable individual. He did some very unsavory things, but he did them with such incredible style.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy you want to read about in the paper but don't want to hang out with.
Oh, do not want to hang out with. Bad things happen to people that hang out with him.
Yes, yeah, there's also that caveat. You're probably going to die if you hang out with him.
And lose your soul.
That's the thing too,
Might-
like Alan
Might
Moore.
get covered with a wasp coming out of your body curse type deal.
Oh god. You know that thing still gives me nightmares.
Yeah.
And I got to hand it to Alan Moore too, right? Like I disagree with almost everything Alan Moore stands for as a human being, but man, oh man, that guy can write.
He's a gifted storyteller.
He is kind of like George Lucas. Except Alan Moore never managed to screw up his own work.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever read the Sandman series?
Yes.
See, I'm among friends.
In its entirety.
It's a good read. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It kind of takes some concepts that DC explored, like late Silver Age, stood them on its head, and then pushed them as far as they could go.
If anyone has watched that TV show, American Gods, the same guy was behind that. Was behind the Sandman. And the Sandman was basically the Lord of Dreams. It was the story of a storyteller. The storyteller,
Is the show any
effectively. Yes.
Because I enjoyed the book, but late in my experience, anything that I tend to like that gets adapted to film or television, I end up hating.
Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Really? I think
Yeah,
they're
I
doing
mean,
a perfectly adequate translation.
It started out good, but it lost the plot a couple seasons ago.
Well, it's going down a different path now. Just because there's so many characters they can't translate to screen.
Well, when I say lost the plot, and it kind of goes back to a YouTuber that I really like watching. His name is Mr. Beatung, and it's
familiar.
he talks about Game of Thrones and the Cult of the Badass, I think is the name of the video. And his problem with the series is that it's lost the spirit of the Game of Thrones, or the Song of Ice and Fire, as the books are. The idea that Martin explored the idea that political power flows from the barrel of a gun or the edge of a sword in this case, and it basically, like, while all these powerful people are jockeying for position and jockeying for power and trying to win the game, as Littlefinger put it, it's really the little guy, the average guy, that suffers, right? They're the ones that have to go off and march in the wars. They're the ones who have the tragedies, right? They are the ones who sit there waiting for the sons or brothers or whomever who will never come home. well, these lords and ladies run all terror all over the kingdom with their alliances and wars and whatnot. And it's the plight of the common man really got lost in the series. And it's now become like, oh, did you see what Dany did with the dragons where she burned them all alive? That was freaking awesome. Or Arya, she slit everybody's throats and everybody got really excited because it was awesome. It's like you really had a lot of narrative potential there that you kind of squandered.
See, I actually disagree with on this. The author's heavily involved with the TV show. He wrote the outline for it because he didn't feel like you could tell the story that he told in the books on the TV show. So he had to, here's what we change. Here's how we change this. Here's how we change that. It is telling a slightly different story. I think it's still going into the same place. So
I think my gripe is it loses one of the major themes that was in the book. That's my biggest gripe. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the show and I watch every episode. It just, I think it kind of lost a major point that I really enjoyed reading in the series. And I don't think that point translates very well to modern TV audiences.
I don't know. I mean, if the point is that power comes at the barrel of a gun, that point's pretty well received. I don't.
He wasn't necessarily exploring that, and I might not have explained that in very adequate detail. It was more the consequences of living by that philosophy.
I would definitely say it shows the consequences of that as well. Look at Cersei. Cersei's lost everything. She has really nothing to live for.
power.
And that is true. I mean, there are the effects that hit on that the main characters experience, but in the books, Martin would spend a lot of time dwelling on how the little guy was affected. Like, what was the name of that? They touched on it briefly in the show. Septon Maribald, I think was his name. Like that was a significant part of. I want to say, if not A Feast for Crows, then what was the fourth book?
Not Dance the Dragons. A second. Storm of Swords.
Yeah. That
three.
figured pretty prominently into that. I think it was Feast for Crows was the fourth one. I don't remember. It's also late, and I'm extremely tired,
Yeah.
so I might not be articulating myself very well.
And then I got distracted.
What was that, D?
I only tried to read the first book, and then I got distracted.
See, I'm actually a big fan of that author. I've read a lot of his other stuff, and I've enjoyed the other TV shows he's done. And so when this book series started, I read the first one. I actually kind of got stumped in the second one. And it was surprising to me, and I just gave up. And now I want to go back and try them again. Sometimes that happens, I'll try something and then just not be able to do it. And years later, I'll try it again and have no problem. I had the same problem happen with the Dune series. The same problem happened with the Lord of the Rings. Years later, I went back and revisited it and had no problem with it.
I've been trying for years to get past God Emperor of Dune, but it's almost as tedious as Atlas Shrugged.
I'm actually in the middle of it right now and having a hard time.
Atlas Shrugged made me want to cut myself.
Not a fan of objectivism. Anyone here ever read the Sword of Truth series?
By Terry Goodkind?
Goodkind, yes.
Isn't that the one that you want me to read that I haven't read yet?
No, the one I want you to read is The Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. Okay, yeah, I haven't read that.
That's
I need to put that on my list. The Wheel of Time.
It's really good.
Wizard's First Rule was the name of the first book, right?
Yes, and The Wizard's First Rule, very good book. The second book was a really good book. The third book, okay. Fourth book, not so good.
So
at one point,
at the right time.
Yeah, at one point he actually abandoned the story and tells almost an identical story to The Fountainhead. He builds this giant statue and carves a giant statue, and at the very end of it, he shatters it because it was his. And fuck everyone else. I mean, is that not the exact same thing that happened in the Fountainhead?
I believe so. Been a long time since I looked at the Fountainhead, though.
Yeah. Well, he abandoned the story to tell an objectivist creed instead of telling the story.
Hmm. If you want to tell an objectivist creed, it only works if your name is Neil Peart. And you're a drummer in a wildly popular progressive rock band.
Yeah.
I used to really sympathize towards objectivism.
I don't think I ever did. I really don't. I mean, I think the first time I was really introduced to it was in the Sword of Truth, and I started looking into it deeper from there. And I was like, no, there's lots of shades of gray because objectivism is very black and white.
Well, I got interested in it because I'm a bit of a political libertarian, and by a bit I mean a lot. Yeah. So when I first started looking into it, like there was a lot in there that I liked on the surface, but when I went, kind of dug a little deeper and I found out the reasons for why it held things and the fact that Murray Rothbard and Ayn Rand actually hated each other, yeah, that kind of soured me a bit on objectivism.
They've got very popular in recent years, the political test that you figure out where you're at on the political spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I've generally tend on the left, but there have been a few times I've been left libertarian, which I don't think is an inaccurate statement. I refer to it as a Heinleinian libertarian.
Right. I'm kind of like that too. Well, see, I don't think it means libertarian like Libertarian Party, but probably less authoritative government, things like that. And yeah, when I do the test, I come out less authoritative and definitely not extreme left either. I'm pretty I think I'm like 3 squares into the left, and then I'm definitely libertarian, not authoritarian. I don't like authoritarian left or right. I feel like it's oppressive. It's too much.
Have you ever heard of the Pornell political compass?
Yeah, I think that's the thing where it's like a square, and then it puts you in that lineup, and then in the little square, and then it'll compare you to who you're compared to,
Sort of.
The Pornell chart.
Yeah, it follows the same thing, but the axes are labeled differently.
Or what are they labeled as?
The north is
reason enthroned.
Yeah, reason enthroned, and then the south is irrationality. To the left is
state as ultimate evil.
Yep, and then the right is
state worship.
Yes. I much prefer measuring myself by that one. I think it's a much more accurate depiction of the way people make political decisions. And I also happen to really like Jerry Pournelle. He wrote one of the best books I've ever read. Well, I should say co-authored.
Which one?
The Mote in God's Eye.
Okay.
Similar to Jurassic Park, I like the way that they were able to take an idea, unpack it, and examine every factor that would affect it, right? Have you ever read it?
I think I did, but it would have been back when I was in high school.
Well, what I liked about
20 odd years ago.
Been a minute, huh?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure I have, but I was going through everything at the time.
Well, it's a first contact story.
Yeah.
With aliens, right? And what I really liked about it is how, rather than just the aliens being some, more or less human dudes with funny stuff on their heads like Star Trek, and a culture that like takes a little microcosm of ours and magnifies it to the nth degree, right? Like they were completely and utterly alien to us. They had a different decision-making criteria. They had different biology, which affected the way they thought about things. They had 3 arms, right? So whereas humans would tend to consider things in like in 2 options, they would always consider a third option. And the amount of thought that they put into developing that their aliens for that story, I really admired. I mean, you can completely disagree with any of the conclusions that the book draws, but you have to respect the level of detail they put into that story. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like maybe Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park rivals it in the amount of detail or thought put into it, but
I noticed something about Crichton, and it wasn't until I'd read several of his books. He's about 2 steps away from a Luddite.
which is really weird because when he was alive, he was quite the technophile.
But if you read his stories, it's always about advance and all the bad things that will happen in scientific advance.
He was very much a doomsday prophet.
My favorite book by him is Sphere.
I actually
State of
enjoyed the
Theater was
book,
good.
did not enjoy the movie.
Yeah, the movie wasn't very good, but I really liked the book.
Is that with Dustin Hoffman and Sam Jackson?
Yes, and Sharon Stone.
I wanted to like that movie. I really did.
I wanted to as well. There was a while there that I was really big on books on tape, and I got Sphere as a book on tape, and that was actually how I read it. And then I saw the movie. I was like, wait a second, no. It's such a bad idea.
It's almost as if some books just don't translate well to film.
Hey, go figure.
Well, I mean, so what's interesting with books is you can definitely spend more time on the internal workings of a character, and meander in that, and marinate in it. And a movie has to condense it and shorten it. And even like something like Lord of the Rings, where you go, this is a long movie. Why did we want to do a marathon? like even that is so condensed, I don't know. I just don't think it's, I love movies. I adore them, and probably more so than books. I have an extreme affection for film, and it doesn't matter if it's old movies from the 1940s or new ones. I love it. But I would say if it's hard to expect from a movie to have that same detail like in the books. It's just a requirement that isn't able to be met.
Yeah, I think if you want to do a film that was heavy on internal monologuing, you almost have to go the art house route. Like, look at Blade Runner, right? I don't know if you've ever read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, but
Yes.
It went heavily into Deckard's thought processes behind everything. And, by no means is Blade Runner a direct ringer for Androids Dreaming of Sheep. It accomplishes the same thing as well, if not better, than the original novel did. And I think because it through looks, through scene setting, atmosphere, and whatnot, it established the characters and in such a way that we could pretty well guess what they were thinking and what they were monologuing. Because we're probably having the same internal monologue as we watch the film.
Oh my gosh, it's the befuddled. I'm gonna show you. Yay! It's been ages.
I know. Is it? Are you live? I didn't know you were even live.
Yep.
Nice.
We are live.
What are we talking about?
You.
Oh, me? All right. Well.
We actually
Your
got
hair.
off on a tangent of books and comic book.
Yeah, we're talking about books. You read?
No, I don't know how to yet.
That's not what I meant.
Comic books? I don't necessarily read, or just read in general.
Oh
In
no,
general.
it's just like general fiction.
I do more nonfiction, really. I listen to podcasts a lot, but if I listen to stuff on Audible, I don't sit down and read. I don't really usually have time for that, but like, I don't know, what was the last thing I was listening to? Something by a philosopher guy, The Course of Love or something like that. I can't remember, but I didn't even finish it. I usually get like 3/4 of the way through a book and then so.
Got it.
But I think the last, like, I don't know, the last fiction one I read was like Dr. Sleep, I think was like a Stephen King one. That was quite a
That
while
was a
ago.
sequel to The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining. Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it a lot, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of fiction in the last couple of years. It's been more podcast and that kind of stuff. But
You know,
Yeah.
I found that I had a lot more time to read once I deleted the Facebook app from my phone.
Yeah.
that's probably true.
It
was
is
a hard lesson to
distracting.
learn.
All those pop dings.
Pop dings.
Yeah.
That's what the
The sound your
messenger
phone
does.
makes.
Pop ding.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Bad enough.
Of late, for me, the thing that's prevented me from reading is, well, Pokemon Go.
Is what?
Pokemon Go.
Oh, Pokemon Go. Okay. I tried that for a little bit, but it got annoying too. I never remembered to pull it out and whatever, so.
Yeah,
You
it's
too. I was like,
me and my
okay.
wife. We do that. That's our thing to get out. Actually, it's our
Oh.
excuse to get out and
That's cute.
I just hit level 30 today.
I just wanted to
There's
get
actually-
Meowth. That was my favorite. And I couldn't get it, so I was getting irritated, so I quit.
Got it.
A couple blocks from my house, which happens to be kind of a cul-de-sac overlooking the river. There's a spot which I guess is great for catching various rare Pokemons. So people will always be there at all hours of the day and night, and it freaked us out when we first moved there. Like, what are these people doing in this cul-de-sac? Where have we
Sounds
moved
like a
to?
cult. That's funny.
And then I
They
went
have
out and
things
like talked to
called
him once, and like, what are you guys doing? You know, like people live here and shit. Like, we're just catching Pokemon. Like, oh, is that what they're calling it now? Go.
That's what they're calling it now. Sacrificing animals, catching Pokemon, whatever. Yeah.
Because like, who doesn't want to live a block and a half away from Inspiration Point, right?
Mhm. Is Gus asleep?
Yeah,
Oh.
He woke up and
He's-
went, bee, 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 bee.
that was me.
Oh, dude. But that was Van. Yeah. Yeah, no.
You're taking your sweet time getting in here. Like an hour ago, we were like,
Well,
we're going to do a
well,
hangout.
I was-
You're like, I'm coming in 15 minutes. And you're like, okay.
No, I didn't say that. I said in a second, which is that's subjective.
That's B talk.
She was going to
Yes.
come into the hangout, and then she got high.
No, I actually didn't. No, I was trying
Because
to
she
finish
got high.
something. I was finishing a craft thing, so sorry. If you would have given me notice, I would have been ready, maybe. I don't know.
What? You're
I'm
making
like-
me all the Doctor Who's with crochet?
Did I show you the one that I made that I'm almost done with for Rachel, my friend? The one that's the Doctor Who and the TARDIS. I thought I sent you the link. I've got the Doctor done. I just have to finish the TARDIS. Huh?
I want to see the Doctor.
Well, I don't have it. I don't have it all put together. I've got all the pieces done, but I haven't sewed it together. But I can show you the pattern. Let me find the pattern. It's on Etsy.
Which Doctor did you do?
The 11th. I don't know that much, but that's her favorite.
Matt
so
Smith.
that was. Yeah.
It's everybody's
And-
favorite
Hi,
actor.
guy.
I don't know that much about it, so I
You'll
just
have
was
many
like,
people
okay,
arguing with you over that's their favorite.
let's see.
David Tennant.
Mm.
I like whichever one sounds like Cliff Jumper.
David Tennant is the best.
Which one is what number is that though?
10.
And
Number 10.
10. Okay. I think it's the 11th. Let me look on my thing. I
And
can find the ones that I bought here.
Probably unusual, but I liked the Eccleston one as well, number 9.
Yeah, I liked him. Of course, that was really the only season of the show I ever watched.
Oh, you, my mummy.
No, it is the 10th. Never mind. It's the 10th. See, that's how much I know. Let me see if I can find if I can get the link to the thing. Yep.
It's interesting because when I first saw David Tennant, and my introduction to him was when he was the Death Eater, the son. You
Yeah.
know,
With Death Eater. On
yeah, he's in Harry Potter as a Death Eater.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
He's the guy who was imitating the Professor of the Dark Arts that one year.
Yep, Mad Eye Moody.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Got it. Where's the one that's okay? I'm trying to find the right pattern link.
Yeah, he makes a pretty good villain. He's done it a few times. He was in that Netflix show too as a villain.
Hmm.
Jessica Jones. Yeah, he's in Jessica Jones.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
He's actually really good in that, to the point where I no longer, when I see David Tennant, will immediately think Doctor Who anymore. Now I'll be like, ooh, Hillraven.
I think. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is all right. I'm just gonna put the link in the thing, and you can go look at it because it's easier than. There. Hopefully that works. That's the pattern that I'm using, but I don't have it all put together, so I don't have a picture of it. No. I have to start the TARDIS, though I haven't even started the TARDIS yet. So. This lady has amazingly cool patterns. Like she's got like Pee Wee Herman, and she's got Wonder Woman, and what was the other one that I wanted? Like the cast of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and
Can you make
awesome.
me Captain Jack Harkness or Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I don't know. I just do it off pattern. I don't create it myself. So if she's got whatever they have on their thing. This lady I've gotten a couple patterns from, actually. But she's also got Bob Ross and the Golden Girls, if you wanted to make crochet Golden Girl.
That's kind of bizarre.
Which one? The Golden Girls?
Yeah.
I like the Golden Girls. I also like, what is the other ones she has? Oh, those are all Doctor Who ones.
Just seems like an odd thing to be putting on my blanket or sweater.
Oh, well, they're actually like dolls. I mean, I don't know if that makes it better, but they're just like, yeah. Conan O'Brien, you could do Conan O'Brien, or the sloth from Goonies.
Sloth.
Yeah.
These are like the kind of dolls we can stick needles in.
You could, because they're just crochet and stuffing, so you could if you wanted to. But... Did you look at it, Deidre?
Yeah, I looked at it. It's cute. I
Okay.
like the hair.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass, but it looks cool. Yeah, her birthday was on July 2nd, so I'm a little slow, but that's how it usually works.
I think you missed the deadline.
Yeah, I know. No, one of my friends, it was a Christmas present, and I gave it to him in February, so that was like, it's a thought that counts, I think. So
I actually like getting late gifts because, like, once the novelty of everything wears off, it's like all of a sudden it just becomes fresh again.
all right, there you go. It's like, yeah, there you go. So I meant to do that.
Kind of like my birthday is in May, so I always turn in my taxes as late as possible so that I get my return in time for my birthday.
What day in May?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, I was going to say my daughter's is the 12th. So.
No, yeah, if we were off air, I would probably tell you.
No, I don't. That's all right. How old are you? Or can you tell me that?
I'm in my mid-30s.
Mid-30s. Oh, interesting.
In people years. In Army years, I'm actually a lot older.
In Army years.
Army years.
What's the difference?
The Army does a number to your body and to your soul.
Oh, right. So isn't like in China that they count you a year old when you're born? Isn't that?
I
think
honestly couldn't say, having never been to China.
Or never being born in China. I was pretty sure that was China. So. What is
That
it?
would be good.
John? Is that John? What are you playing?
Yeah.
What are you playing?
Hearthstone.
It's a World of Warcraft collectible card game, online only.
Oh.
It's fun.
I like to call Hearthstone wishes it was magic.
Yeah, exactly. Only this is a lot easier to understand.
I was gonna call it Magic for Dummies, but
Magic for dummies. I'm a little insulted. But
well, I don't
that's
play
okay.
Magic, but I have played Hearthstone.
I don't know if I played it either.
Magic's not that hard to learn.
I
have
found
it
it
on
very-
Xbox. And
The way I've heard it explained is it's like chess. Quick to learn, difficult to master.
Yeah, it's just it's easy to learn. It's just really hard to get good at.
Mm.
And I mean, considering that your average competitive deck runs anywhere from $500 to $1,000,
Oh my gosh. That's
it's a
ridiculous.
hard hobby.
it's ridiculous.
I started playing that game when it was brand new, and if I had some of the cards I had back then still, I would have a lot more money.
Yeah.
You had a
You're talking
couple.
about
I had a
Magic?
Black Lotus.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Black Lotuses sell for thousands of
Wow.
dollars.
tens of thousands.
I had Moxes, and those sell for thousands of dollars.
How many of the Power 9 did you actually have?
I don't even know which one the Power 9s are.
The
Power 9
Moxes,
cards.
Yeah, it's
Well, I had 2 Moxes. I had 1 Black Lotus. I don't know what else.
Jeez.
I had a Mox Opal and a Mox Emerald.
Wow.
And this is Magic you had? This is
Yeah.
Yeah, Magic Gathering.
and is
These are
it
like
like
the first what is it, like the first
First printing.
round of, yeah, it's just the first generation of Magic the Gathering when it first came out way back in 1993 or something like that.
Something like that.
um,
92, 93, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It was after it was like as I graduated high school.
I love how Richard Garfield described the way he invented it. He said he was out hiking at Multnomah Falls with his family, and he just, out of the blue, this idea hit him. Was like, wait, we could play cards, and everybody can use their own deck.
Multnomah Falls, that sounds familiar.
I had an Ancestral Recall. I had a Time Walk,
Oh my god! So
and I had a Time Twister. I had
This-
several ancestral recalls actually.
You would be a much richer man had you not gotten rid of all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Oregon. Okay. I was gonna say Multnomah Falls,
Yeah.
that's in Oregon.
Portland.
Okay.
Around the Portland area.
Right.
You'd be quite the
Imagine-
legacy player right now if you still had all those cards.
Actually, they're banned in Legacy. They're only available in Vintage.
Well, I thought Ancestral Recall is still legal in Legacy as a one-of.
According to what I'm reading here, and you might be right. This is just according to what I'm reading here.
But yeah, all the Power 9 are legal in Vintage only.
And all except for Time Twister are banned in the casual commander format.
You know, Gus used to run strategy games.
You did D&D, didn't you?
No, he'd do role-playing games
Yeah.
over Hangouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, my buddies and I do that from time to time.
We couldn't do
Actually-
D&D. That was satanic for me growing up, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
It was seriously part of the satanic panic thing. Like, you do that and you were going to become,
Yeah,
Satanic Panic?
there's a chick track on it called Dark Dungeons.
yeah.
That track is awful.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh
Aren't
my
they
god.
all?
Well, yeah, which chick track is good is what I'm asking.
Chick tracks are good, kind of like
Horribly good, yeah.
well, it's kind of like watching a Hangout with Darwin's Deity, right? Like you
Right.
watch it because it's awful.
Because it hurts so good, yeah. No. Yeah, the chick tracks are. I just don't know who hands those out seriously. Like, this is think that it's gonna. I don't know.
My mom.
Oh,
You know, the chicks tracks are one thing. You know what's another?
yeah.
Not tipping your waiter or waitress and then handing them a track.
Yeah, that's even
Terrible.
that's worse.
I could never do that.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't think I remember getting chick tracks a couple times at Halloween and to trick or treat, and I'm like, are you serious? Why even just shut your lights off? Don't do that. It's about the same thing.
We didn't go trick or treating. It was satanic.
Yeah, we were able to do that, but we couldn't wear any costumes that were. So which I always make fun of my mom now. It's like we couldn't be like demons or witches or zombies, but we could be hobos or fat people. And I'm like, so that's cool. Let's offend, let's be really offensive to everybody else, but I don't want to be demons because, that was how it worked.
My mom was actually so strict that we couldn't dress up at all for Halloween. We just pretended like Halloween didn't exist. And I always felt like I was missing out because I was so, like, I loved to dress up and play and stuff like that. So I always kind of felt like, oh, this sucks.
Mhm.
But like, it was so funny because my mom always said, even if you dress up to be an angel, it's still worshiping the devil. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, there was some parents at our church that didn't let the kids do it at all. My parents were kind of like in between. You just couldn't be anything overly satanic, I guess. I don't know.
Overly satanic.
Overly
Partially
satanic. Well, like I said, we could be clowns or fat people or hobos or it was just like that was. Which now I'm looking back, I'm like, yeah, those were not okay either. But one year my brother dressed up as a toilet. So there you
A toilet.
go. Yeah, nice.
It reminds me of the Karate Kid when he went to the dances as a shower.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I love that part. I love that movie. I haven't watched that in a long time.
Johnny's really the hero of that movie.
Johnny. Who's Johnny? The bad guy?
The bully.
Yeah.
Why is he the hero?
Have you ever seen that YouTube video?
What?
It goes on this lengthy analysis of how Johnny is this high school senior, getting his life together. He's gonna get things back on track, make up with his girlfriend, everything, and then just Daniel shows up and ruins his life. Tournament.
All right. Yeah. Reminds me of Johnny at that Johnny Five, Short Circuit. That's the one I was thinking of. I like that movie a lot.
Another good movie.
Yes, because I had Steve Guttenberg in it too, which I'm still in love with Steve Guttenberg at this point. So,
Are you?
oh yeah, I like it, every movie that I saw him in when I was younger. I was like, oh my gosh. And 3 Men and a Baby, and there's one that's like really obscure that nobody ever knows, but is like one of my favorite movies of all time. That has him and Shelley Long in it. So, yeah.
Mr. Johnny, number Johnny 5.
Hey, you're awake.
Newton Crosby, PhD.
Oh, there was 2 of those, right? 2 Short Circuits, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I think so, but I think I only ever saw the first one.
I just remember your mom
Like
was a snowblower. That's what I remember.
Like there's Short Circuit and then Rush to Sequel.
Well, yeah, the one when he's in like New York or something. Isn't that what everybody does for the sequel? It's like Home Alone. They go to New York.
Yes. Come to New York. See the hot dog vendors and stuff.
You know what the best New York sequel ever was? Jason Goes to New York.
Oh, I already said Gremlins. They do have the Gremlins one when they end up in New York, right? That's the second one, I think.
Yeah, that's when they get like the really couth spokesman. Hi there. That's when they get the spokesman. He's like, hi there.
Are you still drugged up, Gus?
My colleagues and I.
Oh yeah, this was when he was on the TV show, right?
Yeah, see?
Yeah, I remember that part.
Still drugged.
Are you still drugged up? Are you still feeling good? Or are you?
Well, so what if I am even?
Well, I just think if you're more giggly, it's more fun. That's all I'm saying.
I am kind of giggly. La, 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 la. Look, your hair and high.
Daddy got a cake over there.
You're like your hair and resolution leans toward the camera, and it's like shaboo.
Oh, my hair. I know. I'm trying to do something.
Your hair is like a wave of the ocean. It's like frozen. The crest of a wave frozen.
Or Frozen.
In time.
Elsa. I thought you were talking about Elsa.
I don't know about Elsa. I never saw Frozen.
That's always what used to be Ollie's favorite movie. Not anymore.
No, what's Ollie's favorite
Now
movie
she's on what is that new Disney one, Moana or whatever? I haven't seen it.
Moana. I like Moana. That was cute.
My kids love that movie.
Yeah, that's her favorite one. I haven't seen it yet though, so Ruben still likes the Lego movie. That's his favorite.
Yeah.
Everything is awesome.
Yeah, we listen to that a lot.
The Lego Batman? Oh, okay, the original.
Not the
Lego
Batman. I don't know if you've seen the Batman one. So.
Because there's a Ninja Go one coming too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, and then Ruben also loves Little Mermaid. That's his other favorite movie.
Yeah. Under the sea.
You know, he sings
Where
part of your
fishes
world.
pee.
It's pretty adorable.
Oh.
Where fishes pee.
Everything's better where it is wetter. Come sit with me. What you doing? You playing bingo?
Me?
You playing bingo?
No.
H4.
No, I'm trying to crochet, but I can't keep track of the row that I'm on. So
Z3.
Okay, that's all right.
I kept sending. So someone sent me a bunch of Macklemore videos today, thinking I liked Macklemore.
Well, why don't you like Macklemore? What's wrong with Macklemore?
I challenge you to a dance-off with your pants off. No.
I don't know about that one. He's got the penis song is pretty funny. Have you seen that one?
I don't want to know anything about the penis song.
Well, that's Macklemore has the penis song. That's funny.
I know Macklemore has well, he should have a penis. He's run a little rough if he doesn't have a penis.
He should notify his doctor if something has happened to his penis.
No, he has the penis song. It's pretty fun, actually.
Dear Mr. Penis. Maybe he has an ode to the penis.
If your penis goes missing for more than 4 hours, consult a doctor.
Check it on the doctor.
All right.
You ever hear that song called Detachable Penis by an old band called King Missile?
Yes, detachable penis, and they're like,
I haven't heard it, but I've heard of it. Someone
yeah,
else said that.
he loses his penis, and it gets like I don't know, it ends up at like the swab meet or something.
The swap meet.
He has to buy it back.
Oh.
Maybe the Smurfs have it. The Smurfs have it and they're dancing with it. They're like, la, 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 la. We stole the big guy's prick.
It's like, do you know who Dresden Dolls? Do you know who that is? Amanda Palmer is the lead singer. Anyway, they have a song called Coin Operated Boy, which is basically she's talking about her vibrator, her dildo is what it's
Right.
about. And she's the one who's married to Neil Gaiman, whatever.
Yeah.
She's awesome. So anyway, that's how it all connected to the penis
Yeah.
song. That's where it was going.
Connected to the penis song. Prick, magic prick.
Nice.
People try to put us down. Prick, magic prick.
Do you guys see that Game of Thrones meme where they're like showing the part with the eunuch, and then it shows Barbie with Ken? Have you ever seen that?
I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so it wouldn't make any sense to me anyway.
A eunuch's life is never hard.
That's pretty funny.
Did you ever see an old movie called The Adventures of Baron Munchausen?
Yes.
Oh no.
No, it's a movie by Terry Gilliam, which is one of the. Oh my God, is that pickle juice? Why are you drinking pickle juice? Are you low on electrolytes?
No. It's a mason jar thing. It's actually was alcohol, but I mix it with half, mostly Red Bull. So
Alcohol and
still
pickle
mason jar.
juice? Good
Yep,
Lord.
and pickle juice. Yep, and Red Bull. all
It's
the
like a
same.
Manhattan, but more like a Bronx, really.
Yeah. Have you heard a whiskey pickleback? Actually, I had that the other day, and it's not that bad.
Pickleback is a horrible band. I can't stand anything they've ever written.
So are you tired of standing in lines and never getting in?
What? What? What did you say? What?
Are you tired of standing in lines and never getting in?
God damn it. It's totally am.
I've been to karaoke once, and they said we do not have any Nickelback at all. So
Never made
You
it
should have
as a
been like, hey,
cucumber.
look at this photograph.
every time I do, it makes me laugh. Yeah.
Right. You know, the lead singer of
hate
Nickelback
that
is
song.
married to what's-her-face, eh?
Yeah, I know.
You
She's
know.
a pretty good singer, right? What's her face?
Although she was, I remember an old TV show tribute back at the turn of the century to Metallica, and she did a version of Fuel that fucking blew their socks off. You should look that up on the internet.
Look up
Avril
What's Her
Lavigne.
Face. Oh,
Yeah, Avril Lavigne Fuel. Yeah, what's her face Fuel?
I thought she did pretty good, but a lot of people at that time, I remember they complained about it.
Well, because she blew the Metallica guys away. The Metallica guys were like, wow.
Was she
that's
Canadian?
cool.
She was Canadian, wasn't she?
Yes, she was, and then they
Yes.
changed her nationality to Martian.
Oh, to Martian?
Yes, because reasons.
Well, and also, do you like her better than Alanis Morissette?
Alanis Morissette makes my skin
I
crawl.
know, but I like Alanis. I know you've told me the story,
I
but
like Alanis and Avril.
You walk
I
up
don't
to Alanis,
dislike Avril.
you walk
But
up to Alanis and go, oh, too hot, never too cold.
Isn't it shocking that like every talk, everything about a guy, especially if it's bad, in Jagged Little Pill is about Dave Coulier?
Yeah.
oh, was that really for real about him?
Yes, yes.
That's the lead singer for the Everything I'm anything forever.
Dude, Dave Coulier? No, Dave Coulier is like
No,
Full
that's the
House.
guy from Full House.
Oh.
That is him?
Yes.
The hockey player guy, Joey.
Joe, Uncle Joey is the same that sings that song.
No. He doesn't sing the song.
No,
Okay.
He's the target.
Alanis went
Yeah.
to LA thinking to make it big, and instead she became like a concubine for Dave Coulier, and then he used her and spurned her, and so after she was spurned, she went away and she said,
Yeah, the line, does she go down on you in the theater,
In the
is about
theater.
Dave Coulier.
Oh. I thought you said spurned her. I thought you said spermed her. I was like,
well,
that's
then
vulgar.
first he spermed her, and then he spurned her. It's a spur thing. It's a spur and spur.
Oh man.
What are you playing
heard-
with? What's that? What is that? What are you
My
doing? Oh, it's crochet.
Yeah.
Crochet. Oh, you're crocheting a little Doctor Who dude, right?
No, this one is not Doctor Who. This is a
Hey, you know what?
Hmm.
They're finally having a girl doctor. Finally.
I saw that.
And I said to myself, "Yay! I can start watching again! Yay! Embargo lifted."
You couldn't watch until they had a female one?
No, because I was taking I was taking a principal stance.
Oh, I thought you a princess. I thought you were gonna say a princess. You're taking a princess stance.
No, I can't have a princess here.
What's a princess stance?
I
wanna
don't know. I just I thought it was what he
I
was
don't know
doing.
what a princess stance is. Maybe a warrior princess stance.
Yeah, there you go. Xena, you could be doing a Xena stance. Yeah.
See, the whole Doctor Who thing, this whole Doctor Who thing, I'm actually of the mind that it's a rare thing or an unusual thing for Time Lords to switch genders. So there's going to be some major trauma that causes him to switch genders in this show.
Really?
Yes. So whatever killed the old
He
doctor
loses
got him.
something.
Whatever killed the old doctor got him into Ding Ding.
Yeah.
Hey, regenerate.
No, I mean they can. I mean it's kind of the direction they're going already. Like the whole changing from Matt Smith to
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi, right? The whole the plot is that he's kind of going away from being kind of a playboy. He's kind of doesn't really care about his companions as much. He wants to almost be insular to his companions. So I mean, if they follow, they can follow
Never works
that.
out.
The judge
line.
tells me I'm not allowed to be insular.
Hmm.
And what could be more insular than a female companion to, or a female doctor to a female companion?
Well, they could be.
The tops of his hair.
Sure, right. If they want to be like super progressive, sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think
Well, which
it's
they
that
have been
progressive.
recently.
Super
Remember all the way
progressive.
back when Captain Jack was introduced, the doctor looks over at his companion and says, "What? You're monosexual? How quaint."
Monosexual.
How quaint. How quaint. Quaint.
Hmm.
I can't
It's
help
like how-
but love Captain
like-
Jack.
Oh no, sorry. What did you say? What?
Jack Harkness.
Yes, Captain Jack Harkness.
Captain Jack Harkness makes me wish I was a gay man.
Well,
Wish you were a gay man.
hardness.
I
Oh,
thought
Heyo.
I bet that's the first time that joke's been made.
Captain Jack Harkness
the face of Bo.
works very hard. And he goes out and he buys spandex shorts and still has money for sex.
Gives a whole new meaning to the word Torchwood.
John Berryman actually was in the hospital and he was streaming. He was live streaming, and he was totally drugged up. And he's like sounded like Gus. And he, and he's like, guys, they're gonna take out my appendix.
Is this real life?
It's like, how is this different from what we're doing right now?
Listen. Thank God for the fuzzy.
I like the one when the girl wakes up and she's mad that she's not like Nicki Minaj or somebody like that. And she's like pissed
Who
about
wakes
it.
up and she's
I don't know, some girl that was coming off anesthetic and she's like thinks that she's gonna be Nicki Minaj and they're like, no, you're not. And she's like, ah, and she's all sad because that's what
Why
she
am I
thought.
not Nicki Minaj?
Yeah, I don't know. She was sad about it. I'm sad about that sometimes too.
Nicki Minaj has very strange thighs.
Yeah, it's she's kind of disproportionate.
They're overly fluffy.
Yeah.
The only
She
thing
is.
I'm sad about Nicki Minaj is that I don't have her bank account.
Yeah.
I think
I like
I
Nicki
think I think a date with Nicki Minaj would be fun until she did the Roman thing. And
Yeah.
you'd ask her what she wanted for stuff. She'd be like, "Let me look at the menu." You'd be like, "Hey, there'll be enough of that demon shit and my table, okay?
Yeah,
And we're not ordering lobster because lobster is an evil creature, not to be trusted."
it's a scorpion.
Everybody, yes, it's a scorpion with an upside down tail. Everybody knows this.
Hmm.
It's
I
the most
think-
metal show. It's the most metal dinner ever.
Freaking lobsters are like they're like the cockroaches of the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people actually choose to eat them and pay money for it. I don't
Wait,
understand.
I like lobster. What about crab? You don't like crab either?
I've never had crab.
Oh,
Crab's really sweet, which is
I like crab.
It does taste good.
It's a pain in the ass to eat, though. It's like one of those things that's like takes forever to eat. It's just
I think B. I think maybe if eating crab is a pain in the ass, you might be doing it wrong.
well, could be.
I mean, I can't tell another person what to do, but
You know, the platinum rule and all.
The platinum roll. What's that?
it's so nice not to. It's so nice to be. It's so nice to. It's not to be. It's so nice. It's so nice to be at a hangout where you can say something, and if it isn't immediately entertaining, you don't pay a terrible penalty and derision for it. That's very nice.
Like
Hey,
what?
Seth. Isn't that nice, Seth?
You're talking about in Discord?
Seth doesn't know. Seth gave up on us eons ago.
You're
No,
freaking
I
hanging out
was-
with Nazis.
What? What? Who? What? You know what's sad?
Hmm.
Eve is a flat earther.
Mm-hmm.
Why is
That is
it
sad.
what is wrong with
That
that
is
girl?
sad. I did watch the video, the one where she's talking about how flat Earth brought her back to Jesus, and I was like, it was so interesting to watch her and be like, where she would have been swearing. You know, last time I remember watching videos of her, and it was like very different demeanor. It was interesting.
Yeah, I remember my first hangout with her. I got dared to go into Eve Girl hangout, and I was like, "Hey, Eve, let me tell you about Jesus." And they were like, "Ah!" And it was just like,
it's Luke, bitch.
Oh my gosh, it was
Yeah, a lot of people give Rankin Campbell a bit of a pass because they think he's trolling. But if Rankin Campbell is not sincere in this, and he's dragged Eve Rill into this, he's kind of a monster.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
But he's the
not
guy
funny.
he's the guy that when I embarrassed him, because he told a story about a hot dog cart in Ottawa having gotten free and running down the road. And the problem is that the area that he said that it was at, the road, the road was very flat. And so even if the hot dog cart had broken free, there was no stop laughing. There was nowhere for the hot dog cart to go, right? Like there wasn't an incline, so the hot dog cart wouldn't have rolled anywhere. So because the hot dog cart won't roll by itself unless there's an incline, right? If
But
it's
if it's a
totally
flat
flat,
Earth?
if it's totally flat, it won't go anywhere. So I embarrassed him with that, and then the bastard invented the Gussie Dogs thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so for I don't know how long I had to field comments from these idiots about Gussie Dogs this and Gussie Dogs that, and it used to be what I said. I just said, listen, I am not now, nor have I ever been a hot dog magnate, right? And this is because it was true. And so lately, eventually, I just said, fuck it. Yeah, you guys are right. It wasn't Gussie Dogs. It was Wiener King Wiener because you have to be bilingual. And I made up a whole story, and these dumbasses bought it. They bought that I used to sell fucking hot dogs.
That's funny.
And these people are so fucking dumb, right?
So hot dogs.
And I never sold hot dogs. I never sold hot dogs. But these dingbats kept because of Rancam. And of course, Rancam never came back to anywhere I was again.
I do
Right
remember
after-
the first time I saw you in a
After that.
hangout, Gus. You were making fun of Rancam. but
Yeah,
that
of
was
course. I get Rancam pretty good. Eh? Like when he shows up, it's very hard for him to operate.
hmm
When I'm around, I think that pisses him off.
Well, so what happened with what is the connection between him and Eve? Like, what's that?
I don't know. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, she got messed up in the head. and I don't.
Rankin Campbell basically runs the channel that she's almost exclusive to now, called Flat Out Elected, which is a Calvinist flat Earth YouTube channel.
Jesus, the worst of both worlds.
He's not a Calvinist.
I thought
Yeah, it's
he
not
was
a
totally a
Calvinist one.
troll on everything.
So, I mean,
thought
Flat Out
Yeah.
Elected seems very Calvinist.
Calvinist, yeah.
He is a troll.
Yeah. So that's what Seth was saying, though. It's like, if this is all made up, this is still him being a troll,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's him being a monster.
Yeah, it's monstrous because he's real. His personality has changed drastically, and for the worse. She's become extremely timid and insular and protective over her beliefs. And really kind of disgusting.
Licorice time. Black licorice time.
He has actually said that for years about Rancam, it's even worse if he doesn't actually believe these things.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree with Seth that if Rancam is just trolling, how evil. I mean, really?
Is there
Black
anybody else on that channel, or who else?
Oh, quite a few. Basically, the
Hellbox
Flatos
and
crowd.
Arcane Logos. Yeah.
Rev.
Rev? Oh, I wondered where he'd been lately.
Rev's gone full flat tard.
Wait, Rev's a flat earther now?
Yes.
He's been for a little bit, but right now
He's a flard.
I think Rev's not as married to the idea as they are. He's more into like conspiracy, like
and
end of the
yell
world
and
stuff.
yelling and alcohol.
We sent 500 people into outer space, and they all came back and said, "Boy, howdy, he sure am round." And this isn't enough for these fucking idiots.
No, that's fake news, Gus. Come on.
Well, it can't be fake news. Like, the rocket went into the sky.
Well, rockets don't work. Rockets don't work in space because there's nothing to push off of.
But the gigantic lump of metal that was sitting like an erect dick on the fucking ground lifted off and went into the sky.
But those rockets don't go into space. You can tell they go. They curve as they go up. So
They
obviously
turn to
they're
the
not
right.
going into space. Yeah.
And while they're orbiting the fucking Earth, while they say they're orbiting the Earth, what are they doing?
They're visiting Russia.
Well, that's how dumb it is, Gus. How can gravity just disappear once they get up into space?
That's why I didn't watch Steve today, because like some flat Earth numbskull was on there, and it was mind-numbingly stupid.
You know what? When flat earthers appear on channels with people who have brains, the entirety of the fucking visit should be, you know what? You're stupid, and then kick them off.
Yeah, probably.
Problem
Gus,
fucking
I really
solved.
miss you, man.
Problem, you can't convince these people of anything. I could duct tape them to a fucking Soyuz fucking missile and send them into space themselves. And they'd be like, okay, it's a little hard to breathe, but it's not outer space.
Right. They don't understand. They don't understand the basics of Newtonian physics. If you ask them to explain anything on a Newtonian paradigm, they won't be able to. And so once they bring up, which they have to understand a little bit of it, because if they're going to bring up any kind of detraction to a Newtonian paradigm, like for example, every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction, right? This is how rockets work. They literally do not understand that. They think that because there's no fluid to push off of in a vacuum, rockets can't work. And you can explain to them a very simple thought experiment to explain why it still works. And they will look at you like you've just
Rockets
talked to them in Chinese.
Rockets are not about burning. They are about the release of energy.
Yes.
That's all they are about.
My favorite one is Michael Ann.
No.
How's that
it's
sun
awful.
burning in space? There's no oxygen in space.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I didn't know
You
Michael
can
Lang
burn
was that
things without
stupid.
oxygen. Napalm, anybody? You
What
can
about-
burn things with oxygen?
What's the Nephilim Free? I've not seen him. Where's he at right now?
He
He
was
doesn't
swallowed
know
by
how to
his
do
own
hangouts
face.
anymore.
His own face swallowed him one day by accident.
So the funny thing about Nephilim Free, right, is when Google changed the way it does Hangouts,
Mhm.
he still hasn't figured it out. It's been like 3 years, and he still hasn't figured out how to start a
Is
on-air
that
Hangout.
really what it is, or because
Yes.
I know his wife got really, really sick.
That well, at least that
Well,
was
not his wife.
There's that pickle juice again.
Mm-hmm. It's orange pickle juice.
Nephilim Free.
I didn't know they
Nephilim
had
Free
color.
has kind of talked himself out of a following because he's been, I mean, as a creationist, he's been very anti-science to the point where now all of his little followers like Pillbox and Arcane Logos
Mhm.
have been so anti-science their brains have fallen out of their head, right, with flat Earth junk, and Nephilim Free is not quite that insane.
Mm. Oh.
Yes. They're like, he's like a Frankenstein going, what have I created?
Well,
Yeah, pretty
Nephilim
much.
Free is also just heretical enough to where he gets rejected from funding
Oh,
because
yeah.
he's an annihilationist, and he has a very strange explanation of the Trinity, and that's enough for some people to be
She's
kind of rejecting of him,
listening to see
take
if
shots at him.
babies are walking around.
Not even to talk about his strange obsession with bestiality in the Garden of Eden.
And
Right.
wasn't he the one that did the escort service?
I still, like, every so often I look at that clip and think that's why this is why the internet is just
Apparently he has some affinity for the well-stockinged leg.
The what?
The well-stockinged leg.
He's well stocked with legs. He's got plenty.
Right.
Yeah, I
Each
can't
an
decide who I like
individual
more. Though,
package.
right?
Mhm.
I can't decide if I like Neffy or Von Helton better.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Von Houten is another. I haven't seen
No, Von
him.
Helton he's one of the ones that like Arcane and Pillbox who have just gone further.
Mm.
He's left Neffy in the dust.
Well, he's always been like way out there. Like he thinks he's a vampire and all these kind of things. Like he's not in touch with reality very much.
Yeah.
so.
Von
But that's what
Helton's
makes him so much fun.
because you have to like think about the morality of dealing with Von Helton. So like
Yeah.
if he's in your hangout, he's fun to kind of get all excited and stuff. But then at the same time, it's like the way his situation with his kids and his family and stuff like that. You feel like you don't want to really participate with that.
He's the one that they mentioned on Good Mythical Morning, I think, at one point, which I thought was hilarious.
Van Helton will make you feel a little bit dirty, where
And not in a good way. Right.
Nephilim, I believe, comes from a well-meaning place. Like he means well. So
I don't know. I don't know if it's more insane or less insane because Van Helton's view on the flat Earth.
Von Helton.
Von Helton.
Von Helton's view on the flat Earth is slightly more and slightly less insane than everyone else's. His position is that the world that he knew, his original world, the world that he came from, right? Because he's in a different world than he came from, which is the more insane part.
Right.
That one was round, but the world he's in now is flat.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that part.
Yeah,
It's the
It's the
Mandela
Mandela effect.
yeah, the Mandela effect, exactly.
What? I didn't know that. Okay, Mandela effect I thought was something totally different.
The Mandela effect is basically where in a world you were in, something happened. You've now changed to a different world where a different thing happened
Oh.
in
okay.
It
history.
comes from this thing where like a whole bunch of people swore that Nelson Mandela died in '89. I think is what it
In
was.
prison in early 80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Only to find out, not only was he still alive, but he was also running South Africa.
Well, it's like my daughter was telling me something like some lyric that I thought was in a Queen song. She's like, "Well, you thought that was because of the Mandela effect." I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about," but
Well, the other
Yeah.
big thing is the Berenstain versus Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain. Which one is it?
Yes, it's Berenstain.
Oh, okay.
The bum stained
What is-
bear.
Long I
Yeah.
or long E?
Huh?
It's actually spelled with an A.
Bro, who
Well,
cares?
Yeah, it is.
Berenstein or
Nobody paid any
Berenstein?
damn attention to
It's
Berenstain.
Berenstain,
Bernstein
as
Bears
in
were
stained
like,
wood.
Also,
fags.
Darth Vader doesn't say, "Luke, I am your father."
I am your father. Yes. Okay. So it was similar to what she was saying. Is like she was thinking like
well, he doesn't say the Luke part, but he does say, I am your father.
Mm,
He says, no, I am your father.
I could never hear it over Luke's.
No, he
whiny
doesn't. He
cry.
doesn't do the,
It's
does-
not true.
he doesn't do the surprise colon inspection until afterward.
Yeah. Yeah. Luke is like he's an ugly crier. I'm sorry, but he's a very ugly crier.
But he got in a really bad accident between episode 4 and episode 5. Eh? Like he got in a car accident. It really fucked up his face. You can tell at the beginning of episode 5. Like if you look at his face, it's smooshed in compared to episode 4. Check it out sometime, dude.
Yeah, that's actually
That's
what
actually
the
they
snow
rewrote the
monster
movie
scene.
to where
Yeah,
they rewrote the movie to have him give scars at the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie.
that's right. That's why he got walloped by the Wampa.
Mm.
I like that. Walloped by the Wampa. Nice alliteration, darling.
You're welcome, darling.
Haven't you ever seen The Producers?
Is this a Blackadder sketch? Hello, darling.
No, The Producers, right? That crazy crowd is crackers. He crassly crashed in and tried to kill us. Nice alliteration, darling. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
My favorite line from the whole movie.
Wait, this can't be a social meeting site. Nobody's been called a faggot for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, we can change that.
No one's told someone to kill themselves.
Right.
No one's told each other to kill themselves. No one's talked about race realism.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, we haven't talked about the Holocaust or any of this
Hey,
stuff.
I'll
No
tell
one's-
you what,
No
all right?
one's claimed or desired to rape anyone.
There are Holocaust deniers that are either trolls or they're just not very good. I ripped one apart yesterday morning. I just pulled him limb from fucking limb, like the scarecrow being attacked by the flying monkeys. I tore his stuffing out and threw him all around, and he was just like, by the time he was over, he was like, oh well, you fucking dork. Uh-oh.
Now, fellas, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. I need to go ahead and go to bed. I will catch you later.
Bye. 4 o'clock.
Bye, Ben.
Good night.
I have to go to bed soon too because I need to work tomorrow. But
Where are you working now? I mean, don't dox yourself, but like. Work.
oh well, I'm helping out. You know, my dad was sick, so I'm helping out there.
Gotcha.
That's what I've been doing for the last month and a half. So, which is not bad. It's interesting. There's always different
Get better?
people that come in, huh? Yeah, he's getting better. He's got he's got like this thing on that if his heart goes into a bad rhythm, then it will shock him, which it hasn't had to do that yet, but it's kind of it'll like alarm, and then if he doesn't like press a certain number of buttons, then it'll assume that he's unconscious, and then it would shock him, but it hasn't done that. It's alarmed a couple of times, but so he has to wear that for like 90 days, and then after that, then they can put a pacemaker in, but so he's doing better because they cleared a bunch of they put like 4 stents in, and then so he's getting better. He just can't do a lot. He can't lift, and he can't go up, a lot of stairs and stuff like that, which is
Probably all
so
frustrated.
he's had to adjust. Oh yeah, like because he's not the type of person that likes sitting around and having other people do stuff for him. So yeah, but he's a lot better than he was. So
He does have a reset button, though.
yeah, yeah.
Control, Alt, Delete.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
Does he have to push 3 buttons? Because if he does, it's Control, Alt, Delete.
yeah. Yeah, no, he's,
Without the delete part, doesn't delete him. It's just it stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, he'll be okay. They'll fix him
Yeah.
up. Don't you worry. They
He's
got
actually,
doctors.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was better that, I mean, it's a good thing that it happened because his heart was so weak that they were surprised. Like when they got in there, they were surprised at how weak it was. It wasn't from the blockage. They don't even really know what was going on, but so it was a miracle.
There's a lot of sicknesses that you can get. Many of them mimic the flu, and they're actually some sort of carditis of some kind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they said viral. I mean, they say that's what they call it if they don't really know what could have been that, or it could have been genetic kind of thing too. So,
Your daddy's ticker is gonna be okay.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
don't you
You'll be
worry.
right.
It'll be
Yeah.
okay. We will tell the
Hi, Frank.
unicorns.
The unicorns.
The unicorns will make him okay.
The unicorns.
That's a
Is it
fact.
like Voldemort where he has to feed on them?
I don't know.
I got a lipstick that's called Unicorn Tears, by the way.
Oh yeah?
That's
What's it look like?
awesome.
Huh?
Is it purplish?
No, it's blue. It's like blue and sparkly, but then in a different light, it's pink. And I said they made it by like insulting the unicorns and then putting their tears in it, so they had to be really mean to the unicorns.
Buggers.
That's not very
You're nothing
humane.
special. I know. It was tested on animals. They're not animals. Maybe they're magical creatures, so it doesn't matter.
That's
They don't
right.
have
In
feelings.
Dungeons and Dragons,
Were
unicorns
any
are not considered
unicorns
animals. In
They weren't.
Dungeons and
They were
Dragons-
emotionally harmed in the making of the product.
In Dungeons and Dragons, they're not considered animals. They're considered magical beasts. That's very right. You know that.
It's
There you go.
freaking how Alfred Hitchcock directed children. He would be like, "Your parents are never coming back. They're going to die," and they'd be like, "Ah!" And
Really?
he's like, "Yep,
Really? Oh, that's
now
bad.
shoot the scene."
Believe
My wife
it.
and I actually did that to our kids once. We just hid in the house. We told them we weren't coming back, and we just hid.
On tonight's program.
I've heard from pretty much everyone who's worked with him. Alfred Hitchcock was an asshole.
I
Oh,
am
yeah.
an asshole, but I tell very good stories.
I love Alfred Hitchcock movies, but he's got some horrible stories about him as a person.
Well, there's a movie out there, I think, called Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm.
That's a biopic of him, and he's a naughty monkey.
Freaking
Very
harassing
naughty.
Tippi Hedren.
Yeah, amongst other things. Monkeys are very naughty.
Yeah, they
You
throw
should
poop.
never
on us
have-
all.
You should ever have a monkey as a pet because they're more trouble than they're worth.
I wouldn't have a
Teens
monkey.
thank
as a
them
pet.
because they're naughty.
So
And they'll rip your friend's face off.
if
Right,
Holly
yeah.
comes home with a monkey, you have to tell her, no, honey, you can't keep the monkey. The
No,
monkey has to go back to space with his space monkey friends.
yeah, I wouldn't. I
And
wouldn't.
you have to give the monkey back. That's how that goes.
Yeah, but
Monkeys are
that's
scary. I
dangerous.
don't like them.
Have you ever heard the Dane Cook sketch about having a pet monkey?
No.
It's like, how awesome would it be to have a pet monkey? It would like wait at home for you every day to get home from work so you could do battle with it.
I don't think that's what I want from one of my pets. I don't think I want a pet that fights with me.
Yeah, no, I always think like when people get their faces eaten off by like tigers and stuff like that, or by boa constrictors, I'm like, well, then that's why you don't have those pets. Like, I don't feel so bad for them. Like, what's not Simon and Garfunkel, what did the tiger guys? Oh,
Siegfried and
Siegfried and
Roy.
Roy. There you go, not Simon and Garfunkel.
Tonight, for our animal handling act, we have Simon and Garfinkel. Oh, please,
Bridge
big
over troubled water.
tiger, do not chew my noggin off today. Oh, I pray.
This is Robin.
That's where we invoke dicks out for Harambe.
Dicks out.
Jeez. I don't know what
I don't know.
that's.
Penises have come up quite a bit in my hangout. This is how we lost our Calvinist. Our one Calvinist.
That's because,
Well,
well,
Courtney, come up.
Who was the Calvinist?
John Wilkerson
Johnny
came
Walker.
in for a while, but then we started talking
Wilkins.
about detachable penis, that song, and then he left.
I didn't
No.
even bring that up. by
God
the way.
tells me I'm not allowed to sit with penises.
Sit with
Maybe we
or
could get
on.
Matt Yester in here. In the mood I'm in, I could actually tolerate him for 10 minutes.
Oh, Lord have
Did
mercy.
you, Deidre? Did you listen to in the last couple of weeks on the, Bible thumping wingnut
He thunk.
thing? They've had
Bible,
Right.
what?
mean what? No, they've had this kid on there, which he's like, well, kid, I guess he's 20 years old, but he's talking about
You know you're getting old when
About-
you're 20-year-olds are kids.
right. Well, it's just the way that he talks about stuff. He's like talking about how pornography Christians watching porn is this big thing and how it's so bad, but he turns it around to make it all women's fault. He's like, the reason that Christian men watch porn is because their wives are frigid. I'm like, what?
Are you
How does this?
talking about Prince Absel?
Yes. Oh my God, that guy makes me want to punch people.
What's the name? What's his name? Prince Abscess? What?
Absel.
Yes.
I
Kicking
think
the
I
bag of
know.
dicks.
Absel. Okay.
I think
He was
I-
on there a couple weeks ago, and then I guess he was on there last week, maybe, or was talking to them, and it's like, this kid is just an anti-SJW kind of asshole, basically.
Is this the
I didn't
same
know that the first
kid
time I
that
talked
had
to
the
him.
YouTube channel, and when he was talking about that Cameron movie, Fireproof,
Mm-hmm.
and
That was it.
and the porn? Yeah, I did see part of that because I was on
Yeah.
on break and I watched it a little bit. And he's like, yeah. So even in this movie, it's like the wife gets a pass for being
Right.
frigid. I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe because he's screaming in her face, like, yeah, let's be
Right,
intimate.
and he's like, he goes on and on about how, like, she's denying him, and it's like, well, because you don't. Yeah, it's that whole idea of like you have the right to. I don't know, that kid.
You have
Like when I went in
a
there, I hadn't
right to
watched the
commit
video yet.
marital rape because
Right.
reasons. Otherwise, you're gonna watch porn. Look, I'm
Yeah,
not,
and then if you watch the porn, it's the wife's fault because it's just.
I'm not a fan of being frigid. In fact, if anything, I think it's reversed in us. Like I'm more of the one that's like, let's do it, and he's like, I'm tired. You know.
Right.
You know, about 5 months ago, I was talking to this kid, and it was just in a live chat. And I was trying to explain Catholic sexual ethics to him. And I used my own situation as an example, why my wife and I currently abstain. Well, I mean, we kind of have to abstain now, right? Because hospitals and whatnot. But, and he was getting pissed at me. He's like, well, you're not Christian because you're not having sex with your wife. Like, you shouldn't deprive. I'm like, dingbat, did you not just hear what I said? We both don't because we don't want to get babies. Like, you should use birth control, have sex. Like, you haven't been listening, have you?
Yeah.
Like, he's so hung up on it. Kid needs to get laid.
He's 28 years old. Yeah, exactly. He's 28 years old. He's still a virgin. Like when I went into that hangout, I hadn't watched his video yet, and so if I would have watched it before, I would have, dealt with him a little bit differently. But he's like, so I was trying to tell him. I was trying to say, like, the way that I was raised, like it was like that sex was this kind of this on this pedestal. Like I thought that because I had the whole like you don't have sex until you're married thing, and then I thought like it was like that was the ultimate goal of my entire life was to get married and have sex. And then it was like when I got there, it was like, okay, wait, this is not the apex of all human interaction. Like it's great, but it's not. And I was trying to tell him, was like, maybe you kind of built it up in your head as to like this thing that when you get there, that's not the end goal of your life. Like you still have other things you're going to do. And he's like, well, you just don't know because you're agnostic. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? I was just telling you. I don't know. He's very like.
Also a presuppositionalist.
Oh, is he? Well, there you go.
I said, is he? I said, it's a question.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what he is. And that he's just hung up on this whole like he almost got
believing
married, but he
isn't
didn't.
compatible with Christianity because, I mean, like, part of what he's saying is like making sense to me because there is this thing that Paul talks about, like men and women are supposed to help each other with their sexual needs and whatnot.
Right.
But on the other hand, Christ is very explicit that if you look at it, like he's very explicit about like the connection between, I think it's the 4th and the 7th commandment or something like that. If you so much as look at a woman with lust, then so like Christ is forcing the responsibility onto men for this stuff, right? So whilst women do have like wives have a responsibility to their husbands, husbands also have a responsibility to my wives. That's not like one thing more than another. It's an equal responsibility on that hand.
I think
and when it comes to men's actions, people are responsible for their own actions, not women.
Well, he doesn't agree with that necessarily. He's
not,
it's the whole.
he doesn't agree with Christ.
Yeah,
let's get. They're misogynists. That's the thing. Like, because
exactly.
I mean, you ever have like a conversation about women and men's roles with somebody like Tommy Hall? The misogyny is just off the chain. Like,
yeah, it is. Well, I mean, Matt Slick and that group is not that great. I mean, Matt Slick is not that much better. He's just a little more tactful about his misogyny, I think. So,
but it's frustrating because it's like
that you lost so much weight.
Yeah, I know exactly right.
Oh my gosh, right. That's the first thing you're going to notice about a woman is that she lost so much weight. You know, like you're not bright. You just look good.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't look good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the
Well, and then
the most intelligent person I know, so everyone's stupid to me.
There you go. Well, didn't I tell you like when I went to Slick's house, how much he emphasized that his one daughter was a model, and he's like, yeah, so she, you know, he was like, and then he also said his youngest daughter, he was talking about how she was kind of like, you know, she was a teenager, 14, 15 years old, and she's like in that kind of awkward gangly stage, and he's like pointing these things out to me, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, you don't need to show me that this one daughter is a model and this other one's kind of in an awkward stage. Like it was just weird. And then it was just weird that he was like very fixated on kind of the physical.
Like I do believe he's on the Asperger's
He
spectrum.
is.
Yeah.
I do believe it.
The
You
spectrum,
know,
it's called the autism spectrum. Asperger's is the old name for the higher end of the spectrum. Which is
and
on the spectrum,
you know, this whole thing that was done, you know, a couple of years back, where, you know, Cliff Jumper and all them were on his ass about whether or not. It's like what a stupid game to fucking play.
Who cares?
And JD blew it really big time, you know, because and you could see on that hangout that he was on, he just fucking blew it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Really stupid. Like, how do you tell a guy, unless you've got a certificate in your hand by a fucking mental health professional that says this guy is not on, you know, he's not on the spectrum, how do you even open your fucking mouth and not look stupid? Like, seriously. Like, this isn't about questioning a guy's scientific credentials, right? It's not about trying to figure out if he knows certain things about the Bible. This is literally questioning what a guy says is in his own head. You're always going to lose that game. You're always going to lose that game.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking to a presupposition. Let's see. I've been told that this is a very autistic thing to say. I have been diagnosed with autism. I don't like the diagnosis, and I don't agree with it. So, like, I can understand that.
That's funny.
What'd you say?
You don't like? Yeah, I think that's funny. Yeah. Like, you don't agree with it, but you have been diagnosed. Yeah.
I will not deny that I've been diagnosed with autism. I will just deny that I'm autistic.
When were you diagnosed with it?
When I was 16, I think. So it was late. Most people in the last like 20 years or so have been diagnosed much younger.
Yeah. Well, I was diagnosed with ADHD in my 20s, so it's like, oh, that would explain a lot of things for me, at least. So.
Yeah, I also have mood. I think I have mood. I don't know if it was like revoked or something like that, because, like, you know, they change over time. They're working on what your diagnosis is, and so it changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I also have mood disorder, not otherwise specified, because they can't tell why I get depressed. It's not cyclic. It's not like bipolar disorder. It's just kind of random.
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, especially bipolar. A lot of times they diagnose as depression first, because people don't usually go in when they're manic. Yeah. You know, it's like, so there's a lot of this stuff is not very exact, unfortunately. So, yeah.
But like, I was gonna say that when you guys were saying, well, Matt Slicks is sort of sexist. Like, maybe is autism, because there is this. It's like it's hard to like maneuver concepts with people.
Well, I know there's the social disconnect, and I remember talking to him, like, there's when he said something about being on the spectrum, then a lot of the ways that he talked made sense. Like, that part made sense to me, but there's a certain misogyny, I think, that is overriding that for him. Like the fact that he's like, can't.
I haven't thought about it that way, because I'll actually turn on my camera. I don't. So, like, I'm afraid of sexual ethics, so I generally don't think in terms of sex, because it's just hard to do. But until, like, I have a grounding in other parts of philosophy, I'm like afraid of making a wrong choice.
Right.
But okay, maybe he might be. I haven't seen it, but I wasn't looking for it. I had another point, but I forget what I was going to say. Never mind.
Well, he's very. I mean, like, and I don't know that his is like more than anybody else that is very part of that culture that is very like offended by the idea of a woman being a pastor, or offended, you know, like that has this very specific role for women that doesn't necessarily, and that gets offended if there's anybody kind of trying to go outside of that. I don't know that he's abnormal in the way that he approaches it, but it's just like he gets very fired up about the whole like women can't be pastors, you know, men are, this is how a man is a quote unquote real man, and like those kind of things. And so I don't know that has anything to do with being on the spectrum. I think that's just kind of a more of a cultural thing.
Well,
or, you know,
I mean, autistic people tend to latch on to certain things, right? Like sometimes we'll call it a niche or something like that, but I don't think it's that specific. And his could just be the Bible, and so it could be like, or Christian culture. And on the other hand, it could be misogyny. I'm not denying it. It's just that it's harder to do that with people.
Let me tell you something about Matt that I've noticed, and I think Gus has noticed too. Matt will zone in on what he thinks is heretical or blasphemous, and he cannot let it go. So like,
well, I have seen him get very stuck on things.
Yeah, he has his boxes.
So has an upside down
everyone
cross.
needs to fit in them.
Yeah,
the whole upside down cross thing is going to completely just take his whole attention.
Yeah, he's easily distracted. He told one of B's friends once that their cell phone was very distracting to him. Remember B? He went over and sat in his house once.
Oh, that was my ex-husband. Yes, when we were at his house, and he was like, we were having the conversation, and he had to like tell him like you need to put that away, because he couldn't focus on the conversation because of the phone that was like the light. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, I definitely think he's on the spectrum. Like I don't deny. Like I just think that who knows which parts are that. He seems to be very rigid, and I think some of the like logic things, like the whole tag argument and all that, it doesn't matter how many times people show him how fallacious whatever it is that he's saying is, he cannot break out of this and see a different logic, because that would kind of destroy his ability to see, you know, I think that would be very unsafe for him. So
the way around that is to give him a better version of the tag argument. Introduce him to Jimmy Stevens and tell Jimmy Stevens to give him a better version of the tag argument. There are better versions.
Jimmy could do it.
Yeah.
Like, because like he's responsible. This is one of the things, I don't care if he's autistic. He's been told over and over again. He's got a PhD logician who has explained to him very kindly, very very fairly, all the issues with his arguments. There are videos being made by like Voluntas Revolutus, I can't remember his old name, who is, you know, the wrong guy, not Voluntas Revolutus. I mean Scientia at something like that. It's not Voluntas, that's a different guy. But the point is, there are videos being made on this. It's being rehashed. It's old, and it's gotten to the point where he's like, I mean, like, not everybody's nice to him, but like people have brought up this argument, and he says that it's just a problem with the form, which is just a misunderstanding of how logic works. Like the form is of the utmost importance. And that he says he has a better version of the argument, and he neglects to ever present it. And he just goes back. And when he does say he's going to present it, he goes back into his particular thing. And it's like, no, he being autistic and may make you less culpable for some things, but he's had months or a year almost, I think. So it's
well, I mean, he's been doing that since like the first time he was on the Atheist Experience with Dillahunty was the tag argument thing. So this stuff has been pointed out to him for a long time. It's just, you know, he either doesn't want to or is just ignoring having to deal with it. So I don't.
But at this point, I don't think his autism gives him any leeway anymore. It used to, maybe earlier on, maybe before he met Alex Malpass, maybe, you know, maybe it was just like because he clearly has respect for Alex Malpass for his PhD. So he was, you know, like I can understand, you know, you're questionable of anybody who doesn't have the credentials and stuff. But he has a PhD logician talk to him on this stuff. Like somebody, he went out of his way to be kinder to in the conversation. And afterwards, he's more or less dissing Alex for saying, like, you know, the thing he said about Englishmen with whiskey or some sitting around.
Sipping on brandy with more degrees than a thermometer.
Yeah, it's like no, that's no. Your autism is no longer an excuse. It no longer excuses you to any degree. You've gone too far, and I can understand even if it was after talking with him, maybe it was a couple of months for him to like really get it. But he's had more than a couple of months. He has more than 2 or 3 months. It's been way longer. So,
well, my attitude, he's not the first person with autism that I've bumped into. And my attitude is like, look, you've come to Smash Mouth football. You can either play the fucking game or you can't. I don't care why you can't play the game. You don't get a special pass because you can't play the game. All I care about is you can't play the game. That's all I care about. You must be this tall to get on the ride. If you can't get on the ride, it's not because you're dirty, rotten, musha. It's just because you're not tall enough. It's nothing against you.
You can't ride the Gus train if you're not this tall.
You can't ride the Gus train.
That's not quite what I'm saying, but yeah, like it's analogous.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's a bit harsher than what I'm putting on, but yeah.
Yeah, that's me. That's, and that way there, everybody gets treated equal. Right? I look for results. I don't care about circumstance, and that way everybody gets treated equal.
I think there's a little Christian culture phenomenon going on too. When you look at evangelical circles, it's alpha. It's very alpha, right? There's a drive to be the man's man, the alpha male.
Yeah.
Masculinity fits in a very, very small box.
Yeah. Do you notice that? Do you notice that the thing, especially about Calvinists, is that they worship Rambo Jesus? Right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
When you try to explain to them that it was gentle Jesus, meek and mild, and that the overall message in the Bible was Jesus basically saying, guys, relax. Be kind and gentle to each other. Love each other and love me, and this is how you get into it. And they're like, yeah, but Jesus, walked through Jerusalem with his dick hanging out, and he beat the Pharisees with his dick.
Well, it's like Matt Slick makes fun of the whole blonde surfer dude Jesus. Like that's that's an insult that he throws around. Like how. Right, it is, but
yeah, I mean, like
that's a bad thing.
I think both their view and the view you're presenting is wrong. Jesus was kind of both, but yeah,
I think Jesus was a human being, and as a human being, every now and then he lost his temper. Most of the time, he was really smart. Every now and then, he said something that if he was alive today, he'd probably regret, and I think that's kind of how that goes.
Well, I'm speaking of Jesus as presented in the Bible, as a biblical character. He's not like as he is presented. He's not presented as someone who's, Rambo type, nor is he presented as somebody who's moving and mild.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said,
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, his overall message is love. That's the thing. His overall message is that God. I mean, he's there as a PR guy for God. I mean, he's there to. God could very well himself have chosen to, because he didn't have to create this thing that was God and wasn't God at the same time. He could have come, but instead he sent his PR guy, right? And his PR guy said, look, in the past, my father laid the wrath of his wrath, which was a fucking teenage wrath, if you ask me, laid the wrath of his wrath upon the world. And now, listen, now I'm here to say, look, God understands you people are not quite up to snuff, but that's okay. He loves you anyway, which pissed off the angels. He loves you anyway. And all you got to do is just love each other and love him. That's the totality of his message. If you look at it all in one lump. But the Calvinists don't want that. The Calvinists want angry, wrathful, angry God who invades your ass and who cares how many times you touch your dick.
They're not wrong entirely, because the way the Bible depicts love is that love and hate are kind of tied. They're two sides of the same coin. If you love something, you hate that which stands against it. That's my own view of love as well.
But I don't even think Jesus went there though, because Jesus said, don't hate your enemies. Love your enemies.
Then. Well, I don't know. I know it's in the Old Testament at least, but
but that's it though. Jesus was there to break people away from the dogged attitudes and the blood-soaked legacy of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just saw an article in the National Post today that said that archaeologists have recently put together that the Israelites didn't actually kill the Canaanites. They didn't wipe them all out.
No, they didn't.
That was the one. Yeah, they wiped out a whole bunch of other guys, but that was one of the ones that they failed to, and there was consequences later on in the.
Yeah. So
the Amalekites. that I think they actually did.
Yeah,
The
they
Amalekites
actually
were the ones
punished
that
by
they killed
God
every-
for failing to kill out the Canaanites.
Why
Okay.
stop at the Amalekites?
There's more than the Amalekites. There's like 4 or 5 groups that they completely that it's mentioned as a kind of side thing.
The
Like,
Why stop at them?
the bad Appleites,
They should have just finished the job and wiped out the whole world.
the Arclights. Well, I don't think God commanded them to kill everybody. Well,
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
not saying
outside
that God
the tribe.
commanded them to kill everybody. I'm just saying, why stop with the Amalekites, right? Just keep
Well,
going.
I think they must have got tired. You get
Yeah.
tired fighting a war.
You get tired slaughtering women and children.
It's true. It's tiresome. Except for the nubile ones. The nubile.
You know, you kept those. You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
keep
you got to save those guys or gals.
You kept them.
Gals.
You kept them, and you brought them home, and you made friends with them, and you shared your cookies and
You
your,
made
your milk.
friends with them.
It's cultural appropriation at its finest.
Yeah, it's the Bible is very very circumspect about what you're supposed to do with those women, but with everything else, they're pretty direct. Just go out and kill them. And happy is the man who dashes the baby's noggin on a rock, and yeah, that's okay though.
You want to see the label I got at work that I found?
Yeah,
today?
I want to see.
Can you read that? Is it backwards?
Buttock drape.
Yep. It was on the thing that got donated, and I felt like I couldn't throw it away, so I kept it and put it on my
Buttock
phone.
drape.
Buttock drape. There you go. It was from stuff that was
Oh.
donated from a hospital.
So there's something that drapes, because I have drapes for my window,
Not for your
But-
buttocks.
but buttock drapes are called gowns. That's what they are.
There was so many buttock drapes that they had to label an area for them. So that's
Yeah.
apparently a thing. Maybe it's not a Canadian
So
thing. I don't know.
when your buttocks get draped, you need a special buttock drape. I've never heard of that medical procedure before. Does it involve forceps?
I don't
I hope
know.
it doesn't involve forceps on my buttock drapes.
What color are your buttock drapes anyway? I don't know.
I don't know. I've never. This is a very mysterious thing to me. I've never heard of it. I've been in a hospital now, going on 8 months, and I've never seen buttock drapes. I've never
Does
seen
the
draped
carpet match
buttocks.
the drapes?
I don't know about buttock carpets either. I don't know what the difference between buttock carpets would be and buttock drapes. I'm very curious. I should ask the doctor about that tomorrow.
You should. You should ask him, why have I not got a buttock drape? Like, I feel like I've been here long enough to get one.
Yeah, I've been here long enough. I deserve a buttock drape.
Just make sure you record it.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's making my stomach hurt. Oh.
So maybe I'll look it up on the internet first, so that in case B is playing a practical joke on me.
No, that was on the
He's
stuff
like-
that was donated from the hospital. It was a buttock
like
drape. Actually, a friend said that is a nurse said that they use those like if they're doing surgeries, like in the nether regions, they use those to like I don't know. So it is a thing.
There's
It's
a couple
just-
of people on Discord who come from the nether regions. You can tell in their voice. They do. They're from the land down under.
under. Yeah.
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 From under.
And they say, you know, the patriarchy is a construct, you know. And I'm like, you're stupid. Also, fix your voice. There's something
Peter's
wrong.
sound is not working. She said her sound is not working.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Come back, Dieter Bird. Come back.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear her, but I don't know if she can hear us.
Your lips
I
move,
can't.
but I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, well, I haven't become comfortably numb.
Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth?
It's never a bad time for a Pink Floyd reference. I just want to point that out.
Mm.
Yeah. No Floyd like a Pink Floyd, I always say.
Except for if it's a Purple Floyd, that'd be better.
What do you guys
Purple Floyd was Pink Floyd's jealous brother who couldn't make it in the showbiz.
No.
And so instead he became a repairman.
Purple Floyd prepare.
That's right. Purple Floyd repair.
I thought that was the Purple People Leader.
That's right.
Purple People Eater.
Because if you didn't pay him on time, you better run like hell.
There's a movie with Neil Patrick Harris in it. The Purple People Eater, by the way.
Okay.
For
There
half a
is.
second
You
there,
can
I
look
thought
it
you were
up.
talking about Dr.
That
Horrible
does
sing-along blog.
That's
sounds-
good too, but no, it was Neil Patrick Harris when he was younger.
When he was his noogie
Noogie Dowser.
Noogie Hauser MD. They could have had a dog there, had like Doogie Schnauzer MD, and then that would have ticked 2 boxes on the list of fun stuff. The only thing is though, you get a dog hair and an open wound though, you're asking for
That reminds me of did you ever see Wishbone? That was like that dog that
I heard of Wishbone. Wishbone was the little Jack Russell Terrier who could like go through time and stuff.
it was like PBS kind of thing, like they were reading books and stuff. Yeah, I watched that when I was a kid.
I used to love that show.
Yeah. I used to know a Jack Russell Terrier. His name was Leon.
Yeah.
And Leon's owner recognized that I was one of the few people that Leon liked. So Leon would always, I'd be, we have a
There
new
you are.
reemergence. There's a new spackle in town.
Double the spackle.
Twice the spackle, half the crack.
Are you there, Deidre?
You say twice the spackle.
Yay.
You said double the spackle, double the fun.
That's right. That's
I
right.
don't know what's wrong with my mic on my Chromebook. I got broken.
Oh, we lost Seth. Bye, Seth. Take a snare,
Hardly knew you.
pull it out. The taste of double spackle is gonna blow it in your mouth.
In your mouth.
Holy spackle's gonna move you.
Oh yeah.
Feels so soft,
Wow.
it gets right to you.
This would make me think of those commercials with the twins. Oh wow.
No, right? Can you imagine if there's doing
Double your pleasure, double your fun, and then they put two
Fun,
twin
right.
girls there in bikini. I'm like, are you sure this is a gum commercial or?
Mhm.
So I gotta actually go to bed because I have work.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
Going to stop the
Actually.
broadcast.
Okay. Bye bye, everybody.
So
Aw.
get to hang out. But yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye bye.